In the previous video, I covered the high-level process to finding your next property investment. And in this video, I'm going to share a couple more specifics in terms of how you should be doing your research and analysis to finding the right postcodes and ultimately finding the right property for your property portfolio. So when it comes to growing our own portfolio, we like to do a very robust 5-step due diligence process that incorporates a lot of validation from different sources. The reason for this is because it gives us the maximum amount of certainty that if we invest in a property, not only are we going to make substantial returns, so 20 to 30% return on investment, but also it's going to be consistent and steady. Minimal void periods, minimal issues, and lots of capital growth as well. And that comes from doing the right research. So remember, you purchase a property once and you'll have it for 10, 15, maybe 20 plus years. And that extra bit of research up front, which actually doesn't take too much time if you have the right process in place, is going to pay off in the long term. So with that said, the first part, as you can see on screen, is average returns. So when it comes to analyzing your postcodes, you want to see in that area, what are the average returns? Are they 10 to 15% for a buy-to-let or 20 to 30% within a HMO? This is the first type of analysis you should do, because if an area is unprofitable from a returns perspective, you can discard it straight away and move on to another postcode. So this is the first step in finding the right postcode. Then you want to do something called agent validation. You want to ring up the estate agents in the local area and see from their perspective if there's demand, for buy-to-lets or HMOs. You can capture some really good information from them. Is it common for property investors to explore this area? Are they profitable? Is this area profitable? Is there a lot of tenant demand? Is there a lot of void periods? You can validate your research by speaking to estate agents. And then number 3, online tools of validation. So there are several tools online that you can use that will give you a good estimate. They'll give you a good idea if this postcode or area is attractive from a property investment perspective. And then number 4, demographic analysis. This is really important because you want to see in your postcode, what is the general demographic? Are there couples? If so, you can go for a buy-to-let. Is it retirees? If so, you can go for a buy-to-let. Are there students, working professionals, blue-collar workers, white-collar workers? In which case, a HMO might be a little bit more attractive as a property investment. So you want to analyze the demographic in the area. What type of people actually live there? Because that will determine the property that you purchase as well as the strategy that you go for. And lastly, the type of finish that you go for, because retirees will want one type of finish, whereas a couple or a working professional might want another type of finish, and let's say a student might want a different type of finish. So understanding the demographic thoroughly in your area is really, really important. And then number 5 is regeneration analysis. This really addresses the capital growth question. So you can look at the council websites to see the future vision of this borough or postcode. Is there going to be a lot of government spending? What are the plans? What are the future visions for this given postcode? Because that will determine the capital growth prospects of the area. And that's it. This is really the 5-step due diligence process that we go through when it comes to finding and purchasing properties for our property portfolio. Most people don't do any analysis. They just purchase a property, just by looking at it, and then they end up with really bad returns and void periods and, crappy tenants. If you do the right analysis and have a robust framework or process, similar to something I showed you on screen, then you know that when you purchase a property, it's going to make really good returns and it's going to be very steady, stable, passive income, which is exactly what we're after. So doing a bit of analysis up front will definitely pay off, and hopefully this serves as a bit of a framework in terms of what you can think of when it comes to building out your property portfolio. That's it for today's video. Hopefully you found it helpful. Thanks.